Okay, hello everyone. My name is Stephen Tro, and I wanted to start a series of lectures in which I could give some career advice to students or to anyone working in general, anyone who doesn't know exactly what they want to do or is unhappy with the job that they have. In fact, one of the reasons I wanted to do this, there are two reasons why I wanted to start giving some advice, was to try and give the benefit of my experience, 25 years work experience and 20 years working in the luxury and fashion industry, and both England and in Italy. But trying to help these two main groups, students or young people who don't know what they want to do, and secondly, people are unhappy with the job that they're doing at the moment. So, what advice can I give? I mean, the first thing is, and talking about students and young people who don't know what they want to do. I would say, first of all, I mean, that's normal. It's difficult to know until you've actually started working, until you've actually got some experience and you've seen what it's like out there. You can have a vague idea. But until you actually start doing something, it's going to be difficult to know whether or not it's for you. So, but how can you kind of help that? The best advice that I can give you is that you need to understand yourself. And it sounds like a cliche, really sounds as well like it's a bit vague. Okay, how do you know yourself? It's really difficult to understand yourself as well, but it's fundamental to being, happy in your job, happy in your career, happy in life in general. You need to understand yourself. It's not easy, you'll change over time, but the sooner you start analyzing this and start looking into who you are, what you want. So I would say there are a few areas where you need to start thinking about who you are and what you want. So first of all, I would say that the one thing you should start looking at is what are your values? What's important to you in life? And this should help direct you in your choice of career. And I typically talk to students about 6 main areas that you can consider. There's another couple maybe you could add to that. I typically talk about, you need to decide how important something like money is to you. And the importance of money will change over time, obviously, because when you've got none at the start of your career, it's much more important. It tends to become a little bit less important as you get older and you value your free time a little bit more, but the important thing is to be clear about why you're doing something. So let's go through them. Number 1, let's say money. 2, status. How important is it for you to have a job in a certain company, a certain type of job that's well considered, a certain a level within a company that you think is important for you. Number 3, your career. How important it is for you to have a career in a certain field. And then the next 3 that I came up with were sort of the non-work environment. So let's say number 4 would be your health. How important is your health to you? There's no point going and doing a job where you're going to be working 16 hours a day, working weekends, if your health is the most important thing to you. It's not good for you. But let's say if you do it with your eyes open for a short period of time, it can be good. But just be aware of how important your health is to you. And not just what you've got to tell people or what you tell yourself. I mean, how often you go to the gym? Do you drink? Do you smoke? How important is your health? So number 5, let's say your family. How important is it for you to spend time with your family? And that could be, let's say your mother, your father. You get a little bit older, maybe it's your children. It could be your siblings. So your family in general. It depends on how close you are to your family. And then number 6 then would be your social relationships and how important it is for you to spend time with people. It could be your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your friends, just your free time. How important is it for you to have free time? And these were the 6 that I would talk about. But since then, I've come up with the idea that you could also add a 7th, which is a sense of adventure. How important is that for you in life? I mean, if that's important, that could change the choices you make in life. So let's say if we just take values for now and look at potential jobs. So what kind of a job should you be doing? If your career is everything, you want to make lots of money, that's fine, and you can, and health and your social relationships aren't as important to you at the moment, and you want to go into a career where you're going to be working a lot and maybe you're traveling a lot and you're not seeing friends and family as much, and you're not maybe looking after your health as well as you could do, even though really you could be doing something every day anyway. But are you doing a job that's got a lot of stress, or certainly a lot of stress for you? So, but just choose that. Try and think about it. Try and think about what mix of these that you want in your life, and try and find the right balance for you. So, if your family and your social relationships are more important to you than money, there's no point going to a job where you're going to be working crazy hours all the time. You'll never be happy in that. Of course, this changes over time, and there'll be periods of your life where, certainly at the beginning, you want to work a bit more and you're prepared to make some sacrifices to start your career path. But the reason I say this is that you need to think about what your values are and try and get your idea clear on that. Say it will change over time, but if you've got if you start thinking about it now, at least you start to make some choices with your eyes a little bit more open. We can go into more detail on that, but another aspect is, what are your interests? What do you like doing? That should direct your career path. Which way do you want to go? What you like doing, and people don't know this, so what can you do? One thing you can definitely do is to make a note of when you're doing something that you're totally immersed in, and something that you really love doing. If you time just flies by when you're doing it, it's worth noting. Maybe make a note of what you hate doing. This will start to give you an idea of what kind of person you are and what your interests are. One of the things you can do as well is talk to people about different jobs, and then you just get a feel for whether or not that kind of interests you or not. And you say, "Oh, that sounds interesting. Oh, that sounds terrible. I'd never do that, even if if you put a gun to my head." So, what kind of things do you think you're interested in? Look at job ads, see what's out there. I often recommend circling words and crossing out other words. Let's say you see a job that says lots of travel. If you like travel, it's that spirit of adventure I was talking about before. If you like travel, maybe you say, okay, yeah, that's for me. That's good. I'll do that. If it's not for you, cross it out. And the same with other words. And you start to see a pattern. Maybe there's a job where it says it needs strong analytical skills. You say, well, that's not me, or I like doing that. Job where you work on your own a little bit more, or job where you're going to be constantly surrounded by people. Does that appeal to you? Does it not appeal to you? So look at these kind of things. Think about what it is you want, what kind of interests you. You'll have a rough idea maybe of some fields that you want to get into, but start thinking now and see where your interest lies, and even just getting in information on the kind of jobs that are out there. It'd be interesting, because I'm pretty sure that you don't really know what jobs are available. I think most people probably only seem to know about 10 to 20 jobs. Once you get past doctor, accountant, lawyer, salesman, policeman, fireman, I think people are starting to struggle then to remember what all the jobs are. So there are thousands and thousands, maybe millions of different jobs out there. Start having a look and seeing, what piques your interest, what looks like it could be something for you. That'll give you a little insight into your character and what kind of person you are. On top of that, then you've got, so we said values, we said interests. On top of that, you've got your personality type, and we need to go into that in a little bit more detail. I'll do a video call on that. And the let's say the best way to discover, I think, your personality type is to do a Big Five personality traits test. I think this is the most scientifically researched, proven. So certainly the one with the most sort of hard evidence backing it up. And this refers to your level of extroversion, your level of neuroticism, let's say your anxiety levels, how open you are to new experiences, whether you're an agreeable person or not. And the last one is, okay, how conscientious you are. So you need to look at these Big Five personality traits and then decide, based on a better understanding of yourself and what you like, what kind of career path is the right kind of career path for you. Okay, so we've got values, we've got interests, we've got personality type. The other thing I would add for now, just in the introduction, and then we can go into these in a little bit more detail, is your IQ. Because your IQ will determine your overall intelligence, that is, obviously. Your IQ will be a determining factor in the kind of jobs that you're able to do. There are certain jobs which demand a very, very high level of dynamic, say flexible intelligence. You need to be able to think on the spot, come up with solutions. Is that the kind of job for you? Or do you need something a little bit more simpler job? And I don't think you want to be in a job where you're the dumbest person in the room. That's not good for your self-esteem or your career prospects either. So you want to be in the kind of environment where you've got a chance to show your worth. Probably don't want to be the cleverest person in the room even necessarily, because you're not going to learn anything. But you want to be in the right kind of environment for you in terms of your intelligence matched to that job. So there are online, you can find a whole list of different jobs based on estimated IQ that you need to do those jobs. So certainly at the top, I mean, obviously if you thought about, you're going to be, people are always talking about, it's not rocket science. So if let's say you want to be a rocket scientist, you're going to need high levels of intelligence to do it. Otherwise, it's going to be quite tough, even just getting in. So you've got to have a certain level of intelligence to get into certain jobs. There's a natural filter then based on grades and the degrees and specializations that you've studied. But outside of that, it's a good rule. It's a good idea to think about what level of intelligence is required for the kind of jobs that you're going into. So we've got values, we've got interests, we've got personality type, and now we've also added to that your IQ. So how do we match that? Well, we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. But once you need to, let's say, first you need to work on understanding who you are, what kind of a person you are, what kind of interest you have, what's going to be your motivating factor, what's going to make you want to get up in the morning and go to work. And the better you can match those characteristics of yourself to the job that you're going to do, the more happy, the more content you're going to be in that job. I think too many people end up drifting into a job just because they think, well, this is a safe job, or your parents say do this, it's a good job, it's the first company that calls you for an interview or offers you a job, and then you end up doing that. I think it's definitely worth, and I've been talking about it from a young person's, a student's point of view, starting off from the beginning. But this is also true for anybody in their working life. And if you're not happy in what you're doing, you need to maybe stop and think about what you're doing. And I know it takes courage to change jobs, but it's really not in the interest of the company. It's not in the interest of you to be doing something you don't like. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're not going to do it well. The company's not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy as a consequence. So it's definitely something to think about. Okay, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, really think about what it is you like doing. Because if you love what you're doing, you're going to do a better job at it. You'll bring more enthusiasm. You'll bring a more proactive, say a more positive attitude to the job, and you'll do it in a much better way. So this first video that I wanted to make was an overview of the first things to start talking about, but we'll go into these elements one by one to understand how you can understand each one of these a little bit better. Say values, interests, stroke motivations, call it that, your personality type, and then what kind of IQ do you have and how you should try and match that to the job. So that's probably good enough for now for this first lecture, and then I'll put some more details. I'll go into more detail in the next lectures on these points. Okay, thanks for listening. Okay, bye bye.